Okay, I want to talk to you briefly about the freeze frame. In the event that we do have a DTC, we always want to take a minute and investigate the freeze frame. Now, I think you would agree with me from your past experiences that there's some limitations, severe limitations, so to speak, by looking at a freeze frame by itself. Let's give an example here. If you look at my screen right now, you can notice here that I got the mileage since first and last failure, and this obviously is on a GM vehicle. But you can see there's about 20 miles between the first and last failure, which would basically tell us this is a pretty consistent problem. Okay, if you watch my counter here, notice that the engine RPM on the freeze frame now says 0 RPM. And then if you go down three more parameters, you can see that all of a sudden the mass airflow sensor is breathing 5.41 grams per second, which essentially tells us that somewhere between the RPM readout and the mass airflow grams per second, the engine must have started. So how does that happen? The reason why that happens on your freeze frame is that when the PCM detects the failure, it sequentially writes in the freeze frame parameters, and it cannot do it all at once. So we're basically saying, from our past experience, we found out it takes as many as 3 minutes for the PCM to write in the freeze frame parameters. So that's why you're looking at parameters that don't make any sense. Now, we still want to investigate the freeze frame because there's a couple parameters that are highly reliable. If you follow my pointer here, you'll notice that the engine coolant temperature sensor from a brief hot soak reads 183 degrees Fahrenheit. And if I look at the next parameter down, you can see the intake air temperature sensor is reading 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the reason why those parameters are very highly reliable is because they are thermistors. Thermistors by nature take a long time to change. The other parameters you're looking at on a freeze frame can change very quickly just from a throttle angle change, which would result in an RPM change or fuel trim change. So in summary, what we're trying to say here is we still have to investigate the freeze frame, but we can't take it all as gospel.